Start. The petitioners are aggrieved by the exclusion of the names of 239 members from the list finalized by the election officer full stop. According to the petitioners, these 239 members had been validly inducted and there was no justification for the election officer to exclude their names full stop. The petitioners claim to have filed objections to the tentative list and also before the assistant registrar, the vice chancellor of the university and the district inspector of schools after the elections were held and the result was declared, the grievance is that the vice chancellor of the university and the district inspector of schools completely ignored the objections filed against the finalization of the voters list while granting approval to the committee of management of the postgraduate college and the intermediate college before examining as to whether the objections were required to be considered, it will be appropriate to first ascertain whether the objections had at all been filed before the vice chancellor of the university or the district inspector of schools, because an objection has been raised by the respondents to this effect. A perusal of the objections indicates that they were addressed to the assistant registrar or setting aside the elections held on 15th February 2015. Copy of the representation was sent to both the vice chancellor of the university as also the district inspector of schools for information and necessary action at their end. This objection was received in the office of the vice chancellor and the district inspector of schools as the endorsements indicate. It cannot, therefore, be said that the objections had not been served. The dispute, therefore, is not as to whether the objections were actually received in the office of the vice chancellor and the district inspector of schools, but whether they were required to be considered before a decision was taken on the validity of the elections held for the postgraduate college and the intermediate college. It needs to be noted that 3 elections were held in regard to the society, the postgraduate college and the intermediate college. The assistant registrar could take a decision only with regard to the society. The vice chancellor of the university and the district inspector of schools were required to take a decision with regard to the elections held for the postgraduate college and the intermediate college. What also needs to be noted is that objections had to be examined in view of the directions issued by the court on 19th December 2013. Since the main issue that was raised by the petitioners before the assistant registrar was with regard to the finalization of the list of members, and the same objection was to be taken before the 2 authorities, a copy of the same could have served the purpose, if the same objection was required to be taken before the 2 authorities for taking a decision. The endorsement on the copy meant for the vice chancellor of the university and the district inspector of schools also specifically stated that necessary action should be taken at their end. The learned judge found that separate objections were not filed before the vice chancellor of the university and the district inspector of schools, and it is for this reason that the learned judge observed that the vice chancellor of the university and the district inspector of schools were not required to decide the representations full stop. In fact, the learned judge drew a fine distinction between the representations, raising a grievance about the exclusion of 239 members and an objection regarding finalization of the voters list full stop. The exclusion of 239 members is directly linked to the finalization of the voters list, as it seeks to exclude these 239 members full stop. It cannot, therefore, be said that the petitioners had not raised any objections against the finalization of the voters list because they had specifically raised objections regarding the exclusion of 239 members full stop over.